Hi. I just released a thing on Itch. I thought I would spend a few minutes going through it. Folks have asked me if I've ever put out any products that cover hex crawling, hex maps, wilderness adventuring stuff. And now I can answer that question with a very affirmative sort of here is what I'm calling wilderness adventuring simplified. As you can see at the moment, is very much a work in progress. I will at some point lay it out and get more designy with it. But the main thing I wanted to get out first was just a core content that I can build off of. So that's what this document is now. Depending on where you are in your wilderness adventuring journey as a GM or referee, this book, I should put book in quotes. This, I think, 5 pages as it stands right now, may or may not be useful to you. I think it provides a good basis, a good framework if you're just starting out. If you've been confused by running wilderness adventures, I think this can give you a leg up in terms of building out some scaffolding that you can then attach your own ideas to and really customize however you need. The basic thing I try to do is really try to lay out the gaming loop of wilderness adventuring to make it, which I think it is, really similar to dungeon crawling. And so I start from laying out basically your dungeon crawling gaming loop and then showing how the wilderness adventuring kind of mirrors that same loop with some odds and ends. Now, as you can see here, I'm just going to flip through a couple of pages here. I start out with establishing our kind of units of measurement. You don't have to use these. These are sort of the ones that I use. Again, it can be a good basis if you need one. If you have your own, you can insert those there as well. I get into the gaming loop. I then go into terrain and just try to lay out what different terrain types do mechanically. You don't have to use terrain types. Now, I think you might lose out on some interesting mechanics and interesting gameplay features if you decide not to use terrain. But if you just want to start off with something simple and you find that even terrain can be a little bit confusing or hard to manage, I think you could even go with a even more simplified gaming loop. But I do go into terrain and I try to break down terrain in terms of how it affects the aspects of our gaming loop, which is mostly movement. And then when you're undertaking activities, does it affect the difficulty or how long it takes really of activities? And then in terms of encounters. And my basis here, where I'm coming from, is basically a BX kind of background. If you're coming from a vastly different system, then this loop might look differently and you may find the document less useful, or you still might find it useful. Finally, I put together a table to try to lay out how some of the different terrains sort of stack up against each other in terms of how they affect these different things you're doing in the wilderness. And then I answer some questions about hex maps. There are no pictures as of yet. That's some of the things I'm going to be adding in. I want to add in some pictures and illustrations and maybe a flow chart or two to help out. I haven't gone in the weeds yet on actions. I haven't gone in the weeds yet on populating your hexes. I'm still debating as this. I really want to keep this kind of very beginner friendly. How much of that should be in this document versus in something more advanced, so to speak. I'm really going to be relying on feedback from folks who download this from Itch and let me know where they feel like it's lacking or what things I can do next, because it's really hard sometimes for me to try to figure out, well, what is someone who's just brand new, who has no ideas about this stuff? What do they really need? This is what I tried to deliver, at least in terms of a very core, basic framework. I will be adding on to this over time. And hopefully, again, I'll get a more designy one out first. But for me, I find it, if I can get the content out there and kind of get that ball rolling, it helps sort of free me up to just move on and then keep going. But I really hope to get a lot of feedback from you folks. So if you do give it a download, let me know what you think. Let me know what you feel like it's missing. Let me know what directions you'd like to see it move in. I do have a devlog post on Itch that basically says what I just said about kind of my next steps, what I'm going to be adding initially as I move forward with this. After that, we'll see where it goes. But this is out on Itch right now. You can grab the link or go to my Itch Hexed Press, and you should see it. It should be at kind of the top, I guess, of my page. It's there for you. Let me know what you think. Enjoy it. Hopefully it's useful to you. Game on. Talk to you later.